Welcome to Crash Course in Commercial Real Estate. We converted our in-house training program to a podcast to teach you prospecting, negotiation, business planning, and other fundamental skills to become a successful commercial real estate agent. And now, here's your host, Brady Collier.
Next thing I wanted to talk about, which is why you enjoy it as an occupation. But before I ask you why you enjoy it, Kyle, I wanted to ask you, Shannon, what you're looking forward to about it. So you're an educator, you love people, but what specifically about this industry, this job, just anything about it that you, because you've been in the office for a week and a half now. Yes. So in that week or week and a half, what about the industry or the job do you think this is going to be engaging or fun, or I could see myself really enjoying it? What about the industry?
So far, from what I've done in a week, I love the aspect that every day is different, and it's like a treasure hunt. And so it feels exciting. Each day you're going down this road, and then you're talking to this person, and this person opens this door. And so it's just fun to see who you talk to and what opportunities open up. And I love adventure. And so that's why I keep using that word, and that's what it feels like to me right now.
Is the people engagement, because there's a market research side of it, and then there's an interaction on the phone and with other agents and all of that. So far, is the people engagement higher or lower than you expected?
It's higher, or maybe about the same. I've enjoyed talking to other brokers on the phone already. And already when I got into it, making phone calls, I didn't know what to say, but everybody has been, just laid back, and right now it's just figuring out the lingo, talking broker talk.
You would figure with all the transactions being millions and millions of dollars per transaction, some of them are 500,000, some of them are 10 million. You'd figure it'd be really, really serious and intense, but it's really just normal people conducting normal business, and you settle in and it's a ton of fun.
Yes.
So that's what she's looking forward to about it. Kyle, you've been doing it 6 years. Can you tell us, maybe you and I could dialogue about the things that we enjoy most about commercial real estate as a profession? Mm-hmm. And then maybe you give one, I give one, you give one. We'll just go back and forth. And we'll see who gives the smartest answers.
Yeah, tough challenge. No, but I think we all alluded to people, in our introduction. We all talked about a love for people. And so you have an opportunity to connect, not just with general people. When I door knocked, there was a very wide spectrum of people that you connected with. And when people sell houses, there's a wide spectrum. But in commercial real estate, generally, we're working with business professionals. And so I get to dialogue with some of the best entrepreneurs in several different industries.
And now you're not talking about brokers there. You'd be specifically talking about
my clients. Right? That's right. Not just brokers. And the brokers are great, and you build phenomenal relationships with them as well. But the opportunity to understand the restaurant business in a unique way and connect with some of the best restaurateurs, or to connect with people in the fitness industry or the retail industry. And so you continue to grow and learn, obviously, in real estate. I'm an expert in real estate, but about all these other people's businesses, and become not an expert like them, but I have a broad spectrum of knowledge. And in real estate, you're almost always dealing with a business owner, because those are significant decisions for every type of business.
Sure.
So to expand on the people aspect, I think commercial real estate is unique in the type of people you get to connect with and interface with. So that would be my first one.
Okay, so I would say that something I enjoy about it as an industry, whenever I was selling homes for that 18 months before I jumped into commercial almost 20 years ago, when I dealt with a mixed bag of folks in trying to sell them a house. It was just every Jane, Dick, and Harry who were looking to purchase a home. But on the types of people we deal with on our clients, I have dealt with some of the most fascinating, accomplished, productive people. I just never would have dreamt the kinds of people I would get that have made millions and millions, hundreds of millions through growing companies, selling them and investing their real estate. So I would say the mental engagement is so high. Like, Shannon, no matter how much you learn, I've been at it 20 years now, and every day I learn new things about the industry and how to be a value add to the clients. So I would say the type of people we get to work with, to echo what you just said, it's just unbelievable. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. And they're also pretty, I hate to say this, they're very successful, they're very intelligent, they're driven, they're competitive, and it's the kind of people I like to work with. Mm-hmm. So I would agree, the kinds of people I get to work with. Something else that you like about commercial real estate as opposed to other industries that you're familiar with?
Yeah, and I'll even compare it to other sales jobs or positions. So in door knocking, when you knock doors, it's very formulaic. You knock 50 doors, you talk to 10 people, you sell 2 contracts. And you can refine your skills and get better, but really it's just a function of how many doors you knock. And I think that would also be true of residential real estate almost. It's very formulaic. You talk to enough people. And commercial real estate is that way to an extent where, especially on the front end when you're building that business, and I'm sure we'll talk a lot about prospecting in the future, it's formulaic on the front end. But most people will buy one house every 4 or 5 years, or I'll sell them a contract of cable television once and never see them again. But in our business, it's formulaic on the front end as you build that client base. But now in my business, 6 years into the business, about 95% of my business is repeat clients that I have a relationship with. And now I'm solving their problems. I'm helping them grow and expand their business. And so it shifted from just formulaic, mindless, doing the same thing over and over, to partnering with these clients and helping them really build their business and grow. And I've taken people from that have one location to now they have over 20 locations, and they've sold their business for tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. So getting to take part with those people in that journey from one location to growing and accomplishing their goals is pretty unique in this industry.
Kyle's got one client that he'll never see this. I won't use his name, but he'll never see it. But he's got one client who was at one time a bartender and had a job and was bartending on the side. He started a business, and when Kyle started work with him, correct me if I'm wrong, he had one location, and then he has sold a business for tens of millions. Every time he introduces Kyle, he'd be like, "This is my in-house real estate department." So these big companies, Fortune 500 companies, they have like this whole real estate department of analysts and so on and so forth. And this guy, he has made tens of millions of dollars in just the time that we've known him. And he says Kyle's his in-house real estate. So it's an occupation where you can help people achieve goals and dreams that you couldn't have even imagined they had that ambitious of a dream. And you're like the catalyst or the avenue, the agency through which they accomplish that. And so it's very fulfilling. I find that to be one of the more fulfilling aspects of the job.
Yeah, and to build on that, I've sold a lot of things that people may or may not be interested in. So if I'm knocking on doors, they may or may not want cable television. If I'm calling trying to sell IT consulting services, they only want to talk to me if they have major pain points. And most things that you sell, people may or may not want to talk to you about it. In real estate, it excites people. So when you're prospecting and making those initial calls, everybody wants to talk about their next real estate decision, whether they're an investor or a business owner. Now, for us, it's more deciphering if they're ever actually going to make another real estate decision. But everybody likes to think they're going to make another real estate decision. And so getting people on the phone and getting them engaged and getting them discussing their real estate, as long as they perceive you to be an expert, is really easy. So the harder part is getting them to perceive you as an expert and knowing
the harder
something
part
and
is
bringing
being an
value.
expert.
Yeah.
To contrast that, Shannon, think about it as if you were selling whole life insurance or term life insurance. Every single day you're going to go to work and you're going to have to convince somebody you're going to die. And nobody wants to think about that. Nobody wants to talk about that. And they're like, okay, out of necessity, out of fear, I'm going to buy your product. This is the absolute opposite of that. When they see you call, they're going to like, oh, Shannon, last time I dealt with her, I made X number of dollars. I achieved this many goals. And they want to take your call. And so it's a totally different industry than a lot of other sales. Security systems. You're selling fear of the fact that somebody's going to break into your home and you're going to lose all your stuff. You're selling fear. And this one is an occupation where you're selling opportunity every single day. Opportunity for people to achieve their goals, better themselves, their families, their companies, whatever it may be. Okay, I'll move to another one. Let's talk about why you like the job, Kyle, in terms of other sales jobs. When you were selling alarm systems, just as an example, you hit a ceiling. And that ceiling was around 6 figures in this area. And I would contrast commercial real estate with that and the fact of what is the ceiling in commercial real estate? I mean, is there a ceiling? There may be a ceiling, but talk to that if you don't mind.
Yeah, so that was when I was looking to transition from other sales positions. Is it what can I enter into where there's limitless opportunity, where the future doesn't look like, I can go from $100,000 to $110,000, which is great to get a 10% increase. But when I think 5, 10, 20 years into the future, what does that look like going 10x, 10 times? You hear people talk about, multiplying your income 10 times, and commercial real estate's an opportunity to do that. So there's limitless income opportunity as you grow and build your client base. And Brady, you always talk about the pie, and everybody likes to think about their piece of the pie. But in commercial real estate, there's no limit to the size of the pie. It's unlimited. So as you grow and build your business, you're in an industry where there's no limit, as opposed to entering into a job where they give you, a salary plus, bonuses as you hit goals and things like that. Now, the flip side of that is, I will have drastic swings in my income on the daily as deals come together or fall apart to the tune of tens, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on the size of the transaction.
And you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars of potential income.
That's right.
Not transaction size.
Right.
The transaction size may be $3 to $4 million a transaction, and so the commission income is going to be anywhere between 50 and it just depends on. We're going to get into all the different specialties and the future of multifamily, hospitality, office, and they all have large number of transactions with low number of commission per transaction. Kyle happens to be in an industry where he does a limited number of transactions, but each one of them is a very high commission. So other agents that we have on as subject matter experts, they may have a different business than Kyle's, but in Kyle's, he does a fewer number of transactions, but they're huge.
Yeah, and so it can make you sick if you're the wrong type of personality. You have to be able to ride the highs and the lows, but remain constant and steady and optimistic. So I've gotten off a little bit. I don't remember the question.
That's okay.
But
I'm going to hit a few more here. Do you have any questions on that?
Not yet.
Okay. He said the pie, and if you think about lumber, Home Depot's right there behind us. If you think about lumber, the amount of lumber that's going to be sold in Lubbock, Texas is fixed. It doesn't go up or down much. And so if you're a lumber salesperson, you can only take lumber sales from your competitor because the pie is a fixed size. But in commercial real estate, the pie's not fixed. And how can the pie not be fixed? Well, it's because there's no geographic boundaries. You can better your skills and cross over into other segments, other product types. And so, Kyle, let's talk just for a second about the pie being unlimited. If it's limited, we don't know the limits of it because really the United States, the world is your playground when it comes to commercial real estate. Talk about the last...
Well, just to that point, who's the most successful commercial real estate agent you know? And that the perception of that, you could pick a lot of people, but this one's just comical. But Donald Trump, commercial real estate, became president. So I guess that's the ceiling as president.
So far, that's the ceiling.
Yeah, and that may be the floor depending on your political stance. I don't know. That wasn't a political statement.
Okay, so Kyle started working with me and Grant in retail leasing, and he was leasing shopping centers. In the next episode, we're going to get into a little bit of the different types of commercial real estate. So he was leasing our shopping centers. He's leasing 1,200 feet. He's leasing 5,000 feet or whatever. And it's in our shopping centers. It was in West Texas. And so that was 6 years ago for a couple of years there. He picked up some really big national accounts, some big clients. Mm-hmm. And then talk about the last 12 months, the markets you worked in, just as a real quick example to the unlimited size of the pie.
Yeah, and it's a client that I prospected on a site in Lubbock, Texas, but I'll be in South Dallas County later. I'll be in Jacksonville, Florida. I'll be just did a deal in Fort Collins, Colorado that was signed a couple weeks ago.
How many states have you worked in the last 24 months?
A dozen.
Dozen
Probably,
states.
maybe 2 dozen.
It's not geographically limited because the fundamentals of real estate in Colorado and in Lubbock, Texas, it's the exact same. So when a customer has loyal to you because a client has loyal to you because you've done an exceptional job and they made a lot of money and they did really well, their business was very successful here, they say, hey, let's go replicate the same here and there and there and there. And so in a future talk, we're going to get into co-oping, referrals, and so on and so forth. But so the pie is unlimited because there's no geographic boundaries and because you can always grow. You can either grow geographically or you can grow in scale. We started with 7,000 foot shopping centers and we were leasing 1,200 foot spaces. And now we have deals that are 100,000 feet and you're leasing, you're leasing 35,000 foot boxes. And there's guys out there that do huge deals. So that's one aspect of the business that I really like. Let's talk about freedom. My business coach, my entrepreneurial coach says that the thing about business is it's built around freedoms. There's financial freedom that we're seeking. There's freedom of time. There's freedom of relationships. And so because you're operating a business within our business, commercial real estate, you've got the broker, and you learned all this in your dreadful real estate classes for the state of Texas, that you're an agent and I'm a broker. For the purpose of this podcast, we're going to talk about all people who do our job. We are in the brokerage business. So on the technical basis, I'm the broker and you're an agent. But we're just going to talk about brokers as people who do this for a living. So because we're operating a business, a commercial real estate broker's business, but you're an independent contractor within, you're operating your own business. And the difference between your previous job, where you had to clock in at a certain time, clock out at a certain time, and fulfill certain tasks, you're running your own business. So what does freedom of time within this industry look like for you?
Yeah, well, let me tell you what it's not, because a lot of bad agents jump into commercial real estate or residential real estate because of the freedoms. And what that means to them is they don't have to work very much. And so that's setting yourself up for failure. When I first got into this business, it was generally 60-hour weeks. You come in at 7 and work till 7 and and repeat. And now in commercial, you don't have to work those evenings like you do in residential. And so that's nice. And weekends, you could try to work on the weekends and do research, but you're not going to get a hold of too many clients. But what freedom is it's your schedule. You're able to work when you need to and when you want to, and run errands and take care of things, and you're not punching a clock. But you go out and hunt and kill, and everything you hunt and kill, you eat. And so you're going to be rewarded for the work that you do. And so now when I started 6 years ago, I had no children, and so working 70 hours a week was possible. That's not possible with all that we do as a family now, to work that much. And so there's the freedom to do that. There's the freedom to be there for my kiddos and for my wife, and fill those needs, and then work when I need to, and have that flexibility. Now, my business has led to travel, so that's one thing that has hindered a little bit of freedom, but that's probably pretty rare. Most people don't travel that often outside of the region.
To give you an example of freedom of time for me, whenever I was a multifamily broker selling apartment complexes, the people who buy apartment complexes, they're very wealthy people, because the average transaction size in West Texas was at the time 5 to 12 million, and now it's much larger than that. But the amount of business that I did December 5th through January 5th was almost nothing, because all my clients were traveling. They were on their yachts in the Mediterranean or whatever. And so after year after year after year, I'm coming in, I'm just pounding it like crazy from December 5th to January 5th. And I realized I did almost no business. So I said, Beck, let's travel. I told you I was out of the country. I was in Honduras for a couple of years. I said, let's just take the entire month of December and just go to Honduras and do some service stuff that we want to accomplish. And we'd had an exceptional year. So we packed our bags, told all the guys in my office I was going to be gone, set an email forward, and I was gone for 30 days. And that was freedom of time to go and accomplish. And so that's one thing I love about the occupation, is if my wife needs me to drop the kids off at school, if I come in at 8, 8:30, 9, it doesn't really matter. If I go home, it's about getting the work done. So I love that about the business. There's no direct boss. There's a lot of freedom of time, freedom of income. There's no ceiling. So those are some things I love about the commercial real estate business. Anything else?
No, I think we hit on a lot of it. And that killing, or going out and hunting and killing and eating what you kill, is one of my favorite parts. The thrill.
That's because Kyle is an intensely competitive person. Who's the best in the entire industry in the United States? Kyle wants to beat them. And hunting and killing. So we did that whole DISC assessment. Kyle was a 99D. It's a decisive driver killer. I was a 99I. High introvert, love people. And so those are two different profiles for success in the commercial real estate industry, but he's a killer.
Yeah, the competition, and even the risk, deals falling apart and the problem solving that comes with that. I don't know if we hit on that a ton, but deals in commercial real estate, I think my average deal probably falls apart 3 or 4 times before it gets done. And so it's putting all those pieces together and solving the problem. I think that's probably the most underrated skill set in commercial real estate, is the ability to see a problem and come up with a solution for your client to get the deal done. And so I just love that aspect that, the other day I came in Monday morning ready to hit it, not knowing what I was going to work on, ready to prospect for new deals. And one of my deals that was supposed to close is falling apart. And so we're scrambling to fix it. And we did. We come up with a solution. And so you never know. And Shannon, you hit on that. You never know what you're going to encounter each day. Every day is extremely different.
For those of you who have stuck with us, appreciate that. If you're working for our company, you had to stick with us. So I appreciate that you're with us, even if it was required to watch. Shannon, do you have any parting shots? If you want to, anything you want to summarize, top couple of takeaways, anything like that?
I think the biggest takeaways is just hearing your experiences, and I think for me it's that you can come at it different ways and still be successful. So I don't have to be Kyle, or I don't have to be Brady to be successful. I can be who I am and how God created me to be, and go after it in that way. And I do have one question.
Sure.
For people that get into the business that are, women who have children, that working 60 to 70 hours a week it's not as easy to do, because we're the ones typically running the carpools after school. What would you say as you get into this, or as for me, as I'm getting into this, or any other person out there like me that's starting and also trying to manage family, what would be your recommendation?
That's a great question. And so just FYI, we are going to have one full episode on women in commercial real estate. Allison Blaylock said she was going to come and be our guest on that one. So we'll talk more specifically about that in the future, but I want to address your question just briefly. Freedom of time means you run your own business. And when I went, several times I wanted to go chase life dreams, and Duron Tucker, who had trained me, I would go in and tell him, hey, I'm going to go chase this life dream. Why? Because I'm passionate about this. He goes, Brady, you can make as much money as 99% of the people out there working between 8 a.m. and 12, because God shaped you to where your skills and abilities are so valued in the marketplace. Your problem solving and so on is so valued in the marketplace. They'll pay you to be awesome, even if you only work 20 to 25 to 30 hours a week. So first of all, I want to say, if your goal is to make, 7 figures, then you may need to work more hours. But if that's not your goal, if your goal is to make X dollars, you can do that in 30 hours a week, 25, 35, 40.
Every person being different.
Every person being
The number
different.
of
It's
hours
based
it would
on your
take.
skills, your abilities, your opportunity, your company, and you're in a great, if I may just say so myself, you're in a great company.
Relationships.
And your previous relationships. There's people who step into the industry who know everybody in town, and they just have a leg up on the guy who gets out of college, doesn't know a soul, and has to start from scratch. So he was working that because he loved the business. Nobody told him he had to or needed to. Mm-hmm. And he went to probably the number 2 real estate agent in the market within 2 years. And nobody told him he needed to do that or had to do that. He just loved it, so he did that. If you set the bounds on what you want to do, I want to drop my kids off at school every day. I'm going to come in at 8:30. God bless your soul. Knock your stuff out. Grant, who works with us every day, he leaves at 4:45 so he can coach his kids' basketball team. If that's important to you, well, then build your schedule around it. So it's your business. Run it how you want to. And our expectation is that you come, you work hard, you work honest, you do your best, and you're a value to your customers. You represent the company well. And beyond that, your success will be proportionate to how good you are. Your skill development, we'll talk about that later. How hard you work, some of those things. But there's no pressure for you to be Kyle or to be Brady or to be anybody else. You just be you. And in the end of the day, the people that are most successful, they love their families well, they serve their clients well. So just do your best. That's what I'd say. That's a good question. Kyle, any parting shot before we close out?
No.
All
I'm excited as we get into more of the material.
Yeah, sounds great. All right. That's all for episode 1.